we've had the luxury of talking to a lot of rare earth guys recently. Your grades are definitely up there. Your intercepts definitely up there with the best. Um, Especially your grade. I mean, you mentioned that your variability. Your high grade is 15 meters at 2,000 plus 2,500, if I remember, ppm, and things like that. So, um, is there any sort of, obviously there is some difference, or do you know of why you are more enriched, do you think, than the rest? Any early ideas?
Look, yes, look, we've got interpreted granite beneath us, and certainly, as always, a lot of the geologists are focused on the greenstone belt, so and the granite's kind of been, I think we've spoken about it before, hasn't been well known about, so that your data sets are quite often concentrated on the greenstone, so hence to try and look at any variations in the granite areas has been low priority. Unless people have been looking for things like diamonds, or in the past or done enough detailed geophysics to determine what they may be, and more importantly, drilling. So the reason we're out there is because of that, the JV ground we picked up with Iron Duke, at 49 metres at 1300 ppm. Majority of the intersections in clay, but the grade drops off marginally, still just under 1,000. And what's been interpreted to be a granite, but when you look at chips, it doesn't quite look like your traditional granite. It looks a bit different, but they've only drilled tens of metres of that, so it's very hard to speculate what it may or may not be. There is some mag features out there. What they mean, it was actually drilled as a carbonatite target by the previous owner back in 2020, which we said before. They didn't recognise potential of the clay-hosted rare earths because this is relatively new. Even though 2020 is only 3 years ago, things have changed a lot, as we know. So very early stages. I'm a little bit loath to sort of speculate what it may or may not be. It may be one of your traditional sort of granites. It may be a granite. It may be different. Those little nuances are going to make differences in your resource, your met recoveries of particularly your magnetic rare earth oxides. So that will come with the test work we're going to do in the future, but we need to do more infill. And we are focusing mostly on the clay hosted at this stage, and maybe later on we start poking a few holes into the hard rock once we do a bit of geophysics to determine what might be better, deeper targets, to try and delineate what it could be. So early days.
Yeah, because you are very deep. I mean, those dim sets quite big. The only other ones I've seen is probably maybe Indiana, but I think they're more, this is what I hear, is that more paleo channel kind of style, whereas, yours is very deep, and obviously you've got history of a basement down there that looks different, but as from all the conversation, it seems to be that there's a few types, and I hear in China there's actually more than a few types. But at the end of the day, it's the takeaway from that is that almost all the met's about the same, plus or minus.
Yep.
And so we all know all going to recover, and we all know now. I've been saying this, in a few of the discussions on the Coffee Samso, is that we move from ion is better, this is better, that is better too. It's all about the economics, really, at the end of the day, because there's beneficiation and stuff like that.
Yeah, the industry is going to mature quite quickly because there's a number of us heading down this pathway, and we've got a huge variability in depth. One of the holes went down about 115 metres. The transported cover is probably the determining factor there, and that's pushing us a bit deeper. And then we've got stuff from 5 metres in some cases. So it just depends where you are on the weathering profile, and there's outcropping or subcropping granite out there as well. So it's a mixture. We've got 1,165 square kilometres. You'd expect some variability within that, and we've seen that even just drilling this initial 20% of that area so far. We've seen the variability in terms of the weathering profile, but despite the depth, we're just seeing, reasonably consistent, that sort of broader 1,500 ppm section, broader zone, and then you've got a higher grade zone, that core running